In 1927, a struggling Chicago retailer paid $500 for a name nobody had heard of. $500, less than what some collectors now pay for a single vintage Craftsman socket set in mint condition. By the 1970s, that same brand was the #1 selling lawnmower in the United States. Riding mowers, push mowers, garden tractors, the orange and white Craftsman badge was on more American driveways than any competitor on earth. But on March 9th, 2017, with no funeral and almost no public attention, that brand was sold for $900 million to a company in Connecticut, and the mower that built it disappeared from the only home it had ever known. This is the story of Craftsman, the lawnmower that died with Sears. To understand how a brand this big was dismantled, the first thing worth knowing about Craftsman is that Sears never actually built a single tool under that name. Not one. From the very beginning, in 1927, Sears bought the trademark from a small outfit called the Marion Craftsman Tool Company in Pennsylvania, and the deal was simple. Sears would put its retail muscle behind the name, and other manufacturers would do the actual work. That was the entire model. Craftsman was a label, a promise, and a warranty. The lifetime warranty was the part that mattered. A customer could walk into any Sears in any American town, and if a wrench broke, they walked out with a new one. No receipt, no questions. That single policy turned Craftsman into the most trusted hardware name in the country for almost 70 years. The riding mower is where the story takes its first major turn. In 1910, Sears bought a small farm equipment company in Kankakee, Illinois, called the David Bradley Plow Company. For decades, the Kankakee plant churned out plows, garden tools, and small implements. Then in 1946, the plant pivoted to garden tractors. By 1959, Sears was selling a four-wheel riding tractor called the David Bradley Suburban, and in 1964, Sears dropped the David Bradley name and put its own badge on the side. 1 year later, in 1965, the first Craftsman branded riding mower rolled off the line. It was clunky, it was loud, it was indestructible, and it would dominate the American backyard for the next 50 years. A detail that almost everyone missed at the time would matter later. Sears didn't keep that plant for long. In 1966, just 1 year after the Craftsman riding mower launched, Sears sold the entire Kankakee facility to a company called Roper Corporation. Sears decided it would stick to retail and let someone else handle the actual building. That decision, made quietly in a boardroom in Chicago, was the first crack in the foundation. Once a company stops owning the factory, it stops controlling its own future. Roper kept building Craftsman mowers through the 70s. Then in 1978, Electrolux bought Roper and moved everything south to Orangeburg, South Carolina, chasing cheaper labor. Then in 1988, the Swedish company Husqvarna bought Electrolux. The plant changed hands again, but the line never stopped. For 108 straight years, from David Bradley in Kankakee to Husqvarna in Orangeburg, that single American manufacturing chain produced lawn equipment for Sears. 108 years. Most American companies do not survive a single century, let alone a century of unbroken production for one retailer. The mower line in South Carolina kept running, but something was going very wrong at Sears headquarters. By the 1990s, the catalog business that built the company was hemorrhaging money. In 1993, Sears killed the big book catalog and laid off 50,000 workers. The same year, Walmart had already passed Sears as the largest retailer in America. Then came the internet. Sears actually launched its catalog online in 1998, before Amazon was a household name. They had the customer data, the supply chain, the brand trust. They had everything, and they did almost nothing with it. The slow bleed turned into a flood in 2004 when Kmart announced it was buying Sears for $11 billion. The deal was orchestrated by a hedge fund manager named Eddie Lampert, and on paper, it looked like a rescue. In reality, it was the beginning of the end. Lampert ran Sears like a hedge fund portfolio, not a retailer. While Walmart, Target, and Amazon were pouring billions into stores and e-commerce, Lampert cut. According to a Susquehanna Financial Group report, in 2017, Sears was spending around 91 cents per square foot on store improvements. Best Buy was spending over $15 per square foot. Kohl's was spending more than $8 per square foot. Sears stores rotted, carpet stained, lights went out and stayed out. Customers walked in once, saw the ceiling tiles missing, and never came back. By 2015, Lampert spun off 250 of the best Sears properties into a separate real estate company called Seritage. The buildings became more valuable than the stores inside them, and the brands inside those stores, Craftsman, Kenmore, Die Hard, became the next thing on the chopping block. The Mower story really fractures by 2017. Sears was running out of cash, Lampert needed money fast, and the most valuable thing left was not the stores, it was the names on the shelves. On January 5th, 2017, Sears announced it was selling Craftsman to Stanley Black & Decker, the Connecticut tool giant that already owned DeWalt and Black & Decker. The price was $900 million total, $525 million upfront, $250 million at the end of year 3, and royalty payments through year 15. Sears would still be allowed to sell Craftsman tools in its remaining stores, but Stanley Black & Decker would now own the brand. They could put Craftsman on shelves at Lowe's, at Ace Hardware, anywhere they wanted. For Stanley Black & Decker, this was a brilliant move. They acquired one of the most trusted names in American hardware for less than they spent on a single annual marketing budget. For Sears, it was a financial life support drip. And for the Husqvarna plant in Orangeburg, South Carolina, it was a death sentence. The clock started ticking on the manufacturing chain the moment the deal closed in March of 2017. The Craftsman riding mowers being built in Orangeburg with the iconic 917 model number prefix were on borrowed time. Stanley Black & Decker had no contract with Husqvarna. They had their own supplier in mind. By 2018, just one model year later, the announcement came down. All Craftsman lawn tractors, yard tractors, and garden tractors would now be built by MTD Products in plants located in Parma, Ohio, and Verona, Mississippi. The Orangeburg plant lost the contract. The 108-year manufacturing chain that started with David Bradley plows in Kankakee, Illinois in 1910, that survived 3 corporate sales, 2 relocations, and a Swedish takeover, ended in a single quarter. A Craftsman riding mower built before 2017 was a Husqvarna underneath the paint. A Craftsman bought in 2018 or later was an MTD. The badge was the same. The mower was completely different. The lifetime warranty that defined Craftsman for decades was gone. Sears, the only place in America that would actually honor it, was about to declare bankruptcy. That happened on October 15th, 2018. After 132 years of business, Sears Holdings filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. $11.3 billion in liabilities, hundreds of stores closing, tens of thousands of workers losing their jobs. The Sears that built Craftsman, the Sears that issued the lifetime warranty, the Sears that sold its first riding mower in 1965 was finished. The strange part is that Craftsman survived. The brand, ripped out of its parent company and sold off in a fire sale, kept going. Stanley Black & Decker sells more Craftsman tools today than Sears ever did, just at Lowe's and Ace Hardware instead of inside an actual Sears store. In 2018, Stanley Black & Decker also bought 20% of MTD, the same company now manufacturing Craftsman mowers. They closed the loop. They opened a new plant in Texas in 2019, promising to bring Craftsman tool production back to American soil. By 2023, that Texas plant was shut down. Cost cutting. Always cost cutting. What remains of Craftsman today is the name, the badge, a mower that comes out of a different factory than the one a grandfather's mower came from. The lifetime warranty is a limited warranty now. The handshake deal is a return policy at a big box store. And the company that built the brand, the company that made the lifetime promise, the company that was once the largest retailer in America, has 5 remaining stores left in the entire country as of late 2025. The Craftsman riding mower did not really disappear. It just became something else. A logo on a different machine. A memory of a manufacturing chain that ran for over a century before a hedge fund decided the buildings were worth more than the brand. Sears did not fail because Americans stopped wanting good tools. Sears failed because the people running it forgot what made the tools good in the first place. The plant in Orangeburg, South Carolina is still there. It still builds lawn tractors. They just have different names on them now. And somewhere in a garage in Ohio, in Texas, in upstate New York, a 30-year-old Craftsman riding mower with a 917 model number is still running. Built in Orangeburg, sold at Sears, backed by a warranty that no longer exists. The last living artifact of a partnership that built American suburbia. The story of how Kenmore was sold off and stripped for parts follows the same script, just with appliances instead of mowers. That video is in the description. Subscribe for more stories like this, because the brands of American suburbia are not gone. They have just been quietly resold and almost nobody noticed.